$11 million. In 1987, that was the highest amount ever paid to a linebacker in NFL history. The Seattle Seahawks gave that money to 22-year-old Brian Bosworth out of the University of Oklahoma and declared him the franchise's future. The media went crazy, fans got excited. Sponsors lined up, the Boz was coming, and the NFL would never be the same again. But 3 years later, Bosworth walked off the field. He'd only played 24 games. A shoulder injury had ended his career. The $11 million investment had gone down the drain. The Seahawks had signed one of the worst contracts in history. So how did it happen? How did the NFL's future superstar become its biggest bust in just 3 years? Was the injury real, or was Boz never NFL caliber to begin with? And how did $11 million destroy the Seahawks for a decade? Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is the story of the most expensive failure in NFL history. Brian Keith Bosworth was born March 9th, 1965 in Oklahoma City. He finished high school in Irving, Texas, and was admitted to the University of Oklahoma in 1984. He played 3 years as a linebacker for the Sooners and became one of the most dominant defensive players in college football history. In 1985, he started as a freshman and made an immediate impact. His hard hits, aggressive playing style, and leadership on the field made him stand out, but Bosworth wasn't just a good player, he was a phenomenon, because he attracted attention off the field just as much as on it. He got a Mohawk haircut, colorful dyes, designs, constantly changing styles. He wore sunglasses. He wore leather jackets. He trash-talked to the media. He insulted opponents. He created the Boz persona. Nobody in college football had ever done anything like this. Players were supposed to be quiet and humble, but Boz didn't follow the rules. And the college football world either loved him or hated him, but everyone talked about him. In 1986, his sophomore season, he made 133 tackles, 10 sacks, 2 interceptions. He was selected All-American. He won the Dick Butkus Award. Oklahoma played for the national championship but lost to Miami, but Boz was already a star. In 1987, his junior season, everything reached its peak. 143 tackles, 12 sacks, 3 interceptions. All-American for the second time. Second Butkus Award. But then something happened. His steroid test came back positive. The NCAA tested Boz before the 1987 Orange Bowl and found anabolic steroids. Boz was banned. He wouldn't be able to play in the Orange Bowl. The scandal made national news. Oklahoma was shocked. The media went crazy. But Boz did something shocking. He owned it. He showed up to the Orange Bowl wearing a t-shirt that said National Communists Against Athletes and criticized the NCAA. The system is broken. He said, "I just wanted to win," he said. Some saw him as a hero, a rebel fighting the system. Some saw him as a cheating athlete. But everyone was talking about Boz. The steroid scandal destroyed Boz's NFL chances. Nobody picked him in the regular draft, because teams were scared of his steroid use and his personality. But Boz found another way, the supplemental draft. In the NFL, if some players can't participate in the regular draft, a supplemental draft is held. Boz entered this draft because he left before completing his college career, and the Seattle Seahawks selected him in the first round of the supplemental draft. It was a risky move because Boz was controversial. But Seahawks owner Ken Behring and general manager Mike McCormack saw a superstar. Boz will change the game, they said, and they offered an $11 million 10-year contract. $11 million was an unbelievable figure in 1987. At that time, the NFL's highest-paid linebacker, Lawrence Taylor, was making about $1 million a year. Boz was going to make about $1 million a year without having played a single down. The media went crazy. Headlines screamed, "Are the Seahawks insane?" But Behring didn't care. "We didn't just get a player, we got a franchise player," he said. Seattle fans were ecstatic. Boz jerseys went on sale and sold thousands per day. A sponsorship deal was signed with Nike. Posters, commercials, TV shows. Boz had become a superstar before even stepping on the field, but expectations were astronomical. Because when you pay $11 million, you expect dominant performance, and the Seahawks expected that. In September 1987, training camp began. Media flooded into Seattle. Every practice was watched, every move was analyzed, and Boz performed. He was fast, he was strong, he was aggressive. Coach Chuck Knox said he's everything we expected. Teammates said Boz will change us. But some players were quietly skeptical. Because even though Boz was aggressive, he had no experience at the NFL level. You can be dominant in college, but the NFL is different. Players are faster, stronger, smarter. And Boz was about to learn that. September 13th, 1987, the Seahawks' first game against the Denver Broncos. The Kingdome Stadium was packed, 64,000 fans. Everyone had come to see Boz. And when Boz took the field, the stadium went wild. Mohawk hair, custom-designed helmet, black eye strips. The Boz was in the NFL. The game started and Boz was active. He made 12 tackles, a good debut. The Seahawks lost, but Boz had performed. The media said Boz is real, but in the following weeks, things started to change. Because opponents had analyzed Boz and found his weaknesses. Boz was fast, but NFL running backs were faster. Boz was strong, but NFL offensive linemen were stronger. And most importantly, Boz was aggressive, but sometimes too aggressive. He fell for fakes. He missed angles. He was weak in pass coverage. He made rookie mistakes. And opponents started using that. In October, they played against the Raiders. The Raiders had running back Bo Jackson, one of the most athletic players, and Boz had trash-talked beforehand. "I'm going to stop Bo Jackson," he'd said. The media had hyped it up. They were going to play on Monday Night Football. 48 million viewers. It could be a showcase for Boz or a disaster. November 30th, 1987. Monday Night Football, Seahawks versus Raiders. The game started and Bo Jackson was on fire. On his first carry, he ran toward Boz. Boz hit him, but Bo didn't stop. He pushed Boz aside and kept going. Second carry, Bo came at Boz again. Boz tried to hit him again, but Bo was stronger. He pushed past Boz. Third carry. This time Bo came straight at Boz. Boz tried to stop him, but Bo knocked him down and ran over him for a touchdown. The stadium fell silent. TV commentators were shocked. And that moment went down in NFL history. Bo Jackson crushed Boz. The footage was replayed over and over. The next day, every newspaper ran that photo, and Boz never recovered from that humiliation. Throughout the season, Boz made 95 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Not great numbers, but not terrible either. It would be acceptable for a rookie. But not for $11 million, because the Seahawks expected a dominant linebacker, and Boz was just average. At the end of the season, the media started saying, Boz is overhyped. Fans were disappointed. And Boz said his shoulder hurt, but nobody took it seriously. Because everyone knew the rookie season was tough. The second year would be better, or so they thought. For the 1988 season at training camp, Boz looked different, slower, more cautious. He told coaches his shoulder still hurt. Team doctors checked but couldn't find anything serious. Probably muscle soreness, they said. He can keep playing. And Boz played. But when the season started, Boz's performance dropped. His speed had decreased. His hits had weakened. When he was supposed to be the team's best linebacker, he looked like an average backup. In October, while playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, his shoulder dislocated. The pain was unbearable. Boz left the field and went to the hospital. An MRI was taken and the result was shocking, a rotator cuff tear. This wasn't just muscle soreness, it was a serious injury. Rotator cuff tears end careers, especially for linebackers who need to tackle, hit, use their arms constantly. Doctors said surgery was necessary, but surgery meant the season was over, and possibly the career. Boz was devastated. He'd played just 8 games in his second season. 46 tackles, 1 sack, worse numbers than his rookie year. And now he needed surgery. The Seahawks were furious because $11 million had bought them just 20 games. And Boz wasn't even dominant in those games. He was average or below average. Owner Baring called a meeting. "Did we make a mistake?" he asked. General Manager McCormack didn't have an answer because the answer was obvious: yes. August 1989, training camp, Boz returned. 9 months later, he'd done rehab after surgery, weight training, running, but the shoulder still wasn't right. Strength was at 80%, range of motion was limited, pain was still there, but Boz said, "I'm ready." Coach Chuck Knox was skeptical, team doctors were worried. But owner Baring was pushing, because $11 million had been paid and the player needed to play. Boz was given a chance, and the season began. In the first 4 games, Boz played but was mediocre. 39 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. Opponents were getting past him, running backs were breaking through him. Quarterbacks were targeting him, and worst of all, the shoulder was getting worse after each game. Swelling, aching, movement restricting. In early October, while playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, Boz made a tackle and the shoulder completely dislocated. This time, it wasn't just a tear, there was dislocation too. Boz was lying on the field in agony. Fans were silent. An ambulance came. Boz was taken to the hospital, and that night everyone knew his career was over. October 15th, 1989, Brian Bosworth held a press conference in Seattle. He was 24 years old. He'd played 3 NFL seasons, only 24 games. And now he was retiring. At the conference, he cried. "I love football, but my body can't take it anymore," he said. "Doctors told me if I continue, my shoulder will be permanently damaged. It'll even affect my daily life. I want to play football, but I don't want to be crippled." The media asked questions. "Do you have regrets? Did steroids damage your shoulder? Did the Seahawks force you?" Boz answered, but he was tired, emotional, broken, because his dream had ended. The Seattle Seahawks made a statement. "We respect Brian's decision. He fought for our team for 3 years. We wish him success in the future." But behind the scenes, the Seahawks were furious. Because the $11 million contract was a disaster. 3 years, 24 games, minimal impact. One of the worst investments in NFL history. Owner Ken Baring said, "We were deceived." General Manager Mike McCormack resigned, and the Seahawks paid the price for that contract for 10 years because the salary cap had been affected. Draft picks had been poorly managed, and the team remained mediocre. Boz retired but didn't disappear. A year later, he went to Hollywood. He shot an action movie called Stone Cold. Motorcycle cop, explosions, fights. It was like a B-movie, but Boz had started a new career. And at that moment, some people wondered, if the shoulder was that bad, how could he be doing action movies? He could do stunts, shoot fight scenes. Some asked, was the shoulder injury an excuse? Boz said, "Movies are different, controlled movements." But the doubts didn't go away. Because shooting physical movies a year after retirement was strange. What impact did $11 million have in 3 years? Disaster for the Seattle Seahawks. Because in 1987 there was no salary cap, but there was a team budget. They paid Boz almost $1 million a year. At that time, the average linebacker was making $300,000 a year. So Boz was consuming a huge portion of the budget. And it wasn't just Boz. Nike sponsorship, marketing, media management, all of it was costing money. And what did they get in return? 24 games, average performance, and early retirement. The draft was affected. Because Boz was taken in the supplemental draft, the Seahawks lost a first-round pick the following year. With that pick, they could have drafted another player. Maybe a franchise quarterback, maybe a dominant defensive end, but they chose Boz and lost a first-rounder. In the 1988 and 89 drafts, the Seahawks made poor choices and the team weakened. In the 90s, the Seahawks became a mediocre team. Some seasons they made the playoffs but never got close to the Super Bowl. And everyone remembered Boz. Boz destroyed us, they said. In 1997, Seahawks owner Ken Behring tried to sell the team. Because there were financial problems and the team wasn't winning, Paul Allen bought the team and a new era began. But Boz's legacy remained. That contract was considered one of the worst contracts in NFL history. Sports Illustrated wrote an article, "Worst NFL draft busts of all time," and Boz was in the top 5. ESPN made a documentary, The Boz, Hype versus Reality, and detailed the financial disaster. And Boz was making movies in Hollywood and not talking about football. Today in 2024, Brian Bosworth is 59 years old. He still works in Hollywood, TV series, movies, sometimes NFL analysis, active on social media. And sometimes he talks about his Seahawks career. On a podcast, he said, "Do I have regrets? Of course. I lost my shoulder, lost my career, but I couldn't control it. The injury was real." Did steroids damage it? Maybe, but back then everyone was using. I just wanted to win. But some people still don't believe it. Because his Hollywood career started so quickly that the shoulder injury seems suspicious. The truth is, Boz probably was never NFL caliber. He was dominant in college because he was faster, stronger. But in the NFL, everyone is fast and strong. And Boz's technique, football IQ, pass coverage ability were inadequate. Steroid use gave him an advantage in college, but it wasn't enough in the NFL. The shoulder injury was real, but maybe it wasn't that critical. Maybe Boz could have recovered but didn't want to, because being mediocre in the NFL was devastating to his ego. In Hollywood, he could be a new character, and Boz chose that. For the Seattle Seahawks, the lesson was clear: don't believe the hype. Boz was a phenomenon in college, but the NFL was different. The positive steroid test was a red flag. The personality was a red flag. But the Seahawks ignored them and paid $11 million, and they suffered for 10 years. There are other examples in NFL history: Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, Johnny Manziel. They all came with big expectations. They all failed. But Boz was maybe the first. The first big hype, the first big bust, and that's why he's unforgettable. Brian Bosworth played 3 NFL seasons, 24 games, 167 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, below average statistics, but he made $11 million. That's about $450,000 per game, the most expensive linebacker in NFL history. And what did the Seahawks get in return? Disappointment, financial disaster, and 10 years of mediocrity. But maybe the Seahawks weren't just victims. Maybe they were victims of the system. Because in the 80s, NFL free agency had started, money was rising, competition was intensifying, and teams were taking risks to win. The Seahawks took a risk with Boz and lost. Was this a tragedy for Boz? Maybe. Retiring at 24 is tragic. But Boz made his own decisions. He used steroids. He didn't care about the NCAA. He came to the NFL unprepared. And he could use the shoulder injury as an excuse. Some say steroids destroyed his shoulder. Some say Boz was too small for the NFL. Some say hype destroyed him. They're all partly right. But the result doesn't change. Brian Bosworth is remembered as one of the biggest busts in NFL history. And the $11 million? Was that money lost? For the Seahawks, yes. But for the NFL, it was a lesson. Hype isn't everything. College performance doesn't guarantee NFL success. And character matters. Boz was a showman, but not a professional. And the NFL demands professionalism. The Boz persona worked in college, but it didn't work in the NFL. Because the NFL is about winning on the field, not about image, and Boz learned that too late, or never learned it at all. Today he's just a memory, a cautionary tale, and the NFL's most expensive mistake.